Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Squarespace, an all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create a professional website and now an online store. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase on new accounts, go to squarespace.com and use the offer code TWiST12. And by New Relic. Visit newrelic.com/twist and see why thousands of developers worldwide don't deploy without it. And by Amazon Web Services. Get the resources you need to easily get started with AWS Activate, a new global program for startups including AWS credits, training, developer support, a startup community forum, and special offers from third parties. Learn more and sign up at aws.amazon.com/activate.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, and today on the program we're going to tackle a very, very controversial topic here in San Francisco in the Bay Area, homelessness. And on the program, Rose Broom is with me. She's the co-founder and CEO of HandUp, which is trying to use some technology to innovate and help the homeless here in San Francisco. It's going to be an amazing episode. It's going to be a really important episode. Stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, and we're here at WeWork in San Francisco, and one of the pressing issues that we keep talking about, all of us in San Francisco and in a lot of cities, is homelessness. And it's a particularly frustrating problem, I think, for many. It's a very emotional issue, and there are lots of incumbent interests in it. And I've been thinking about how to tackle this on the program because it's one of those topics that gets talked about a lot. And clearly, technology has had an impact on many industries. We've seen technology have an impact in healthcare, in education, but there seems to be a little resistance to the concept of technology actually helping in the homeless problem. I'm not sure why that is, but it is definitely a very emotional issue, and it's a very pressing issue here in San Francisco. So I've brought somebody on the program named Rose Broom, who is the co-founder and CEO of HandUp, and she's a technologist, and she's trying to help with the homeless issue here in San Francisco. Rose, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So before we get into what you're doing with HandUp, maybe you could help educate me and the audience a little bit on the state of homelessness here in San Francisco. We hear a lot of numbers. The number I hear most often is there's 6,000 homeless people in San Francisco, which to me, or to most people, would just seem like, well, that's a small problem. We should be able to solve that. But this is a persistent, deep problem. How many homeless people are there, and why is this such a persistent problem?
So there are about 6,000 to 7,000 homeless people in San Francisco, depending on how you count. And across the country, there are 3.5 million homeless people in America every year, and 50 million people living below the poverty line.
Right.
So we work with homeless people, but also people who are in need or at risk of homelessness.
And in San Francisco, even the area we're in right now, the Tenderloin and different areas around Market, it is a sort of shocking for people who come to this city particularly because the homeless are so dense in certain areas in the city, and there's an aggressive nature to it, most people report. Why is this so, the homeless issue, such a hot-button issue here in San Francisco, do you think?
So a few questions in there.
Yeah.
So homelessness is a very diverse group of people.
Right.
And some people you recognize as homeless, the chronically homeless people you see that may be sleeping on the street. The majority of homeless people you may not even recognize as being homeless. You walk past them, you just think, hey, that's some guy, but he's been sleeping in his car for the last few years. Or he's been, couch surfing or, staying in different shelters. So the problem is broader than just groups that you see on the street.
Do you think there is something about the San Francisco homeless problem that's different than, say, in New York or Los Angeles or other cities? It seems to be very controversial here with a group of people who want this problem solved in any way possible, and then another group of people who seem to be kind of lenient about the issue or maybe like sympathetic about it. Why is it such a controversial, divisive topic here in San Francisco?
So homelessness looks different in every city, and every city is taking, a different perspective on it. And there are a lot of myths around homelessness. Here in San Francisco, a lot of people think, hey, these people aren't even from San Francisco, they're just coming here to get our services. And there was a recent street count of homeless people that the mayor's office did, and they found that about 75% of homeless people in San Francisco became homeless while they were already living in San Francisco. That's probably higher than people who've moved here to do other kinds of work.
Yeah.
So the problem here, you're right that it is very controversial. It's a very political issue. Each administration takes a different perspective on it. And for us, we're trying to come in and bring some new technology to this and bring some new solutions.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. What are you doing at HandUp? This is a nonprofit, a for-profit? What exactly are you doing, and how are you doing it?
So HandUp is a direct donation system for homeless people and people in need. And we help you donate directly to a specific person that you want to help through their web profile, and also you can donate to them through text message. And then we make sure that the donation is used on basic needs like food, clothing, housing, medical bills. And so we're giving people a new way that they can help somebody out, that maybe they see Joe on the street corner every day and they want to help him with some food, or maybe you have a cousin or somebody that you know who has an addiction and they need help, you want to support them, you can use HandUp for that.
And so how does it technically work? Take us through the process. The person gives me, what, their PayPal email or something? I mean, how does this exactly work?
So, I should have had a card that I could give you here,
Yeah.
but so basically, homeless people sign up for HandUp through our partner organization, which is called Project Homeless Connect.
Mm-hmm.
And we plan to partner with homeless organizations across the country, and we've already gotten interest from them after we started getting press. So then what you can do is you can browse through our members, and then you can donate through, there's a donate button on the
Right.
page, so we use Stripe. Or if you see someone on the street and they give you their card that has their donation instructions on it, you can either visit their profile or you can donate through text message. We use Twilio and Stripe.
And is this all to get around the issue of, I don't want to give money to the homeless because I'm afraid it's going to go to drugs and alcohol?
So I think that's a big problem, is that people want to help those in need, but they also don't want to hurt them. So they want to make sure that the money is going toward basics. And
Right.
you can already give cash. You can already give to charitable organizations. There's $26 billion of charitable giving in the U.S. every year, specifically towards human services like food banks, homeless shelters, and stuff like that, and millions of dollars given out on the street. So people already do give cash, but now this is a way that you can do it with the insurance that is used on something good.
Do you advise people give cash, or do you think that's a bad idea? Or is it just a personal decision?
So most of the people within the homeless services community advise not to give cash, but to give that money to a homeless organization. We think that oftentimes people know what they need, and they may need something that a homeless organization doesn't provide, and that's where we come in. So we had one of our members had his cell phone charger stolen, which actually surprisingly, he's telling me the story, and he says, I had my cell phone charger stolen on the corner of 18th and Lexington. And what really surprised me about that is I live on the corner of 18th and Lexington.
Oh.
And one of our HandUp members was sleeping on the street outside my window and had his cell phone stolen, his cell phone charger stolen. So
Right.
that's what he really needed. And you can't get that through a homeless service program. But with HandUp, you could raise money and then buy that item.
And now, when the money comes to you, does the member have to say, this is what I want to use it for, may I use it for that? And you go buy them the charger and order it on Amazon and then give it to them the next day?
So how it works right now, we launched our pilot in August, and we've been operating a pilot with about 60 people. Currently, to redeem your donation, our members. Our members are the homeless people who use our system. We don't call them users.
Right. Or homeless people. You call them members.
We call them members because they're not all homeless. Some of them live in SROs or in low-income housing.
Right.
So they go into Project Homeless Connect, and Project Homeless Connect fulfills the donation. So if they need a cell phone charger, they can order on Amazon. If they need groceries, they can give them a Walgreens gift card, stuff like that. In the future, we plan to expand to retailers. So we've already talked to Walgreens and Safeway. So basically, you could go directly to the store and use your credits on what you need, and that there would just be a restriction on a few items.
You can't buy cigarettes with it. You can't buy alcohol.
Exactly. Yeah. So in that way, it's kind of similar to a privatized food stamps program.
Interesting. And so you did this pilot. And what made you want to do this? I mean, what's your background? Are you somebody from Google or Twitter who made a bunch of money and then decided you wanted to do something good for society? Who are you? Why'd you do this?
Yeah. So let's see. I did research for a while, and then I decided I wanted to work in tech. So I transitioned into doing data research. I worked for an education technology startup, and then I worked for a digital health startup. And about 8 months ago, last winter, I had this experience where, there are so many homeless people in San Francisco, you walk by them every day. And I walked by this woman who was sleeping on the street. It was freezing cold that night. And something about that site just really hit me. And I thought to myself, why in a city with so many resources, so much technology, so much innovation, and so much compassion, why do we still have people sleeping on the streets and going through trash cans at night and not having access to showers and toilets?
Right.
And wondered, why can't I pull out my phone and do something? Tech people are kind of criticized for always thinking there's some technological solution, but really in that moment I thought, why can't I donate some money
You actually
right
desired
now?
a technological solution at that moment.
Right, because I thought I have these resources here and I would give them to her gladly if I could.
Right.
And so I started brainstorming, what would that look like? And brainstorming with an engineer friend of mine, and he totally surprised me by saying, all right, Rose, if you get it all set up, I'll build it for you.
Oh, wow.
And that's how HandUp began. I never thought that I was going to do this.
Now, are you doing this part-time, or you quit your full-time to do this?
This is full-time.
This is full-time for you?
This is full-time.
Wow, how brave of you. All right, when we get back from commercial break, I want to talk a little bit about how technologists, when they come into this homeless problem, sometimes actually get attacked and criticized for trying to help. I've seen a lot of this over and over again, and why you think that is when we get back from this very important message.
Yes, Squarespace. I love Squarespace. I use Squarespace. It is the best content management system in the world. They provide 24-hour support, and you can create exceptional looking websites. It's easy. They give you 24-hour support, as I said, and they've updated their iOS apps, so it's super easy to look at your metrics and to edit posts. Just really great. Squarespace Metrics is a new feature where you can monitor all of the analytics you care about, including social media stuff like how many tweets and Facebook likes you're getting. It's what we use for all the launch websites, including the Launch Festival. No credit card is required, and it starts at only $8 a month. I mean, you're getting a world-class content management system that literally would have cost $10,000 a year, $10,000 a month just 10 years ago. And 20 years ago, these things cost millions of dollars. Squarespace has made a great product. We use it, and if you decide to keep your site after your trial, go to squarespace.com, and you can try it for free. Use the offer code TWiST12. TWiST12, TWiST 12, and you'll get a discount. So Squarespace is everything you need to create an exceptional website, and I love it, and I use it. It's awesome. And wow, the new Squarespace blog app looks great. I'm going to definitely try that, and then I can post right from my phone and look at all my stats. Really well done, guys. And that's one of the great things about having a partner like Squarespace is even if you're not expecting it, they just come out with new features, and they keep making it better and better. They're very competitive over there, and they want to have the best product and the most supported product. Go ahead and give it a try. Use the code TWiST12 if you decide to keep your site. Let's get back to the program.
Okay, so welcome back to This Week in Startups. I'm here with Rose Broom. We're talking about homelessness here in San Francisco and, in general. And she has co-founded and is the CEO of I think a 4 break-even called HandUp, which is intending to use some technology to help you donate money, which can be then used for services, not alcohol and drugs, but just like really important services for their members who are homeless or living below the poverty line. So you described making this product and why you made it. Were you attacked for coming out and saying, I want to build a website where people can donate, I want to build a technological solution to try to solve homelessness?
I was mostly met by support and open arms from the city government. We've been working with the mayor's office, from the different homeless organizations. They welcomed me. They said, great, we want more tech people helping to solve this problem.
Right.
I think with anything that's controversial, like homelessness is, there are critics and people have different perspectives on how to solve this. My perspective is, let's work together to come up with new solutions. And, some people see it a different way.
Okay, it's very diplomatic about you, but people were attacking you, saying like, oh, naive, technologists coming in thinking they can solve homelessness.
I think this is an error in thinking. When we see a big problem and we think there must be just one solution that solves all of it. And I see it a different way, is that I see thinking too big can be bad sometimes. Sometimes we got to think small. Right. And I'm trying to bring technology to solve one piece of this problem. And I am not saying that it's going to solve all of it, right. Or that we don't need other solutions. I'm just saying, hey, we bring this to the table. We need more resources. Here's some resources the community wants to help, and now we're giving them a way that they can contribute. So hopefully I can be a diplomat and help bring people together to work on new solutions.
But there is resistance. It's really interesting that it almost feels like there is a group of people who've been working on this problem for a while, and they don't want anybody else to come in and work on it. Is that is that constituent there to a certain extent?
I don't see it that way. I definitely see people playing the devil's advocate and people who are criticizing this new perspective, but within the homeless services community, I have been welcomed from every organization. The most, radical homeless organization in San Francisco, Coalition on Homelessness, half the staff members there are homeless themselves. They put out the street sheet that homeless people sell on the streets, and they were one of my first supporters. And actually the first members that I signed up for HandUp, I signed up at their office. So, for the groups that I see, the nonprofits, the government, the homeless people, and the donors, I've received broad support. If people want to be out there and criticize, then they can talk, but there is so much talk and not so much action. And that's what I'm interested in, is not just talking and debating, but actually doing something. And we've already been able to help people in such a short time. Yeah, let's talk about the project a little bit more in detail. So if you click on one of the members there, you actually see a profile of them, and you can get some additional information about their story. What was the concept behind building essentially what's a social media profile, or even looks a little bit like a Kickstarter page? And I think that this is kind of where people want to make fun of your project to a certain extent, but that I think it's kind of brilliant. Like Kickstarter. Are you making that up? Who's making fun of this? I know. People on, you read Valleywag or other sites and on Twitter. I mean, listen, this is just social media banter. But anytime a technologist comes in and says like, we're going to make this, people said, oh, it's Kickstarter for, or Facebook. They need food, not like a cell phone or not internet access. But what you've built is so elegant. You can, people can see here on the screen, you have people. Can go right to this page and learn about Marvin. So what was the background behind making a profile? So I think people want a direct relationship. And the pain point here, the problem that we're trying to solve, well, of course, it's connected to the broader problem of homelessness, is the experience that I had being on the street or knowing somebody that you want to help and not having a clear and transparent way to do that. That's the problem that we're trying to solve with this. You can see someone on the street and then think, okay, I'll donate to a homeless shelter, and that's great, and I encourage people to do that. But oftentimes people want to help this guy. They want to help Marvin specifically. And it's a powerful story. People are curious.
Yeah.
They're like, what's the deal with homeless people? But they're
Right.
also scared. I mean, look how much emotion there is. So much emotion here. There's fear, curiosity, guilt,
Yeah.
shame, frustration. And we give people a way to turn that into something positive. They can come and learn about the person in a safe way, and then they can contribute to them in a way that they know is going for good stuff, and they can get updates. We plan to build the site out so that people can interact. We hear our donors are telling us, so what was their reaction? What did they say about my donation? And similarly, our homeless members are saying, who's donating to me? Why are they helping me? How can I thank them? So we see an opportunity to build a direct personal relationship there.
And does this sort of making a bond between individuals and the people supporting them, does it lift up the person being, I mean, obviously there's going to be a gratitude that will help the person who is inherent when you're helping somebody, but to actually see them maybe climb out of this, does it actually inspire the person who's being helped to maybe really, hey, there's a group of 100 people supporting me, maybe does it actually increase their chances of maybe breaking the cycle?
Absolutely. And this is some of the first feedback that we got from Project Homeless Connect, our partner, was, wow, the people who are using us, they feel really empowered. They feel really excited. They feel like they have a way that they can advocate for themselves. And what it also does is help connect them to other services. So for example, Marvin had been living on the streets. He'd been homeless for 15 years. But after he was using HandUp, it brought him into the office, and he has gotten connected with other services through the HOT team and other groups here in San Francisco. So it's motivating.
Right, that's what I was sort of getting
at. It's like engagement. Like, we have built a product that's engaging to homeless people and brings them in, gets them connected with other services, and hopefully we can, help get them out of poverty. So we've been talking with Kiva Zip. Kiva launched a U.S. entrepreneur program, and we've been talking with them about building a pipeline out of poverty that we help get people to a certain point. And look, some of our members are really entrepreneurial. They're very creative.
I did read that. I was reading one profile where he said he wanted to make like a garden, and one of the members was looking to make a garden, and he was hoping to get not just money, but maybe some pots and some soil and a place to actually start his garden.
That's right. And one of our newest members who we're about to sign up is doing a car detailing service. So he drives around in his van that he also sleeps in. So we're getting him connected with HandUp, and maybe when he's ready, we can connect him with the Kiva program, and he can get loans to help build his business.
So, and I don't say this to make a joke, but you're looking at some of the lessons that we saw in Kiva, and then even AngelList, right? Like, there's AngelList that exists where a group of people want to bet on somebody, right? They're placing a bet on AngelList. And here you're placing a bet on an individual, the car detailer. And the reward is not, I'm going to get 10 times my money or 100 times my money for investing in a startup, but it really is, the reward is, hey, I could see somebody get out of that group of 6,000. Now we're at 5,999. And that person is now sustainable and has a great life.
I think we have all different kinds of donors. So I can see that motivation. Some people tell us, like, hey, I'm an effective altruist. I want to donate to the person that's going to be able to get out of homelessness. Right. But we have other people who want to help the most desperate, or the people who are really having the hardest time, or just the guy they see on the street, and maybe they don't mind if he uses their donation to pay his cell phone bill, which, getting back to your point about technology, I mean, communication is extremely important. People are often surprised when I tell them that most homeless people have cell phones. I don't know why that's so surprising. We know that people in Africa have cell phones. I was even in a village in Africa with no running water, no electricity, and they had cell phones. So,
right, but there's a $60 a month bill, so I guess what people are probably responding to is like, oh, well, how are they paying for that, phone when they should be having a roof over their head and not be on the street begging? But I mean, it sort of is a basic necessity these days.
Have you seen the Maslow's hierarchy of needs that has now Wi-Fi added as the bottom layer?
Yes.
As like the number one.
Food and shelter, I will take Wi-Fi. Yes, I'll put off a meal for that. So what are some of the largest amount of donations on a monthly basis that a person has received in this, and how has that transformed their life?
So in terms of average donations per users, our active users are averaging around $200 of donations a month, which is higher than we had anticipated. So that was great. And in terms of highest raises, so Marvin is one of our members who's he's raised the most money. And for him, it helped him get out of homelessness. So he'd been homeless for 15 years, and he had an established network, we call it. So he had his high school class that had found him, and they came together, donated money, helped get him off the street, and now he's connected with other services.
So that's super powerful because they have a landing page, a profile on the web.
Exactly.
The people who knew them before they were homeless can then go connect with them.
So the story was pretty incredible. He had, the city had shut down. There were these chess games along Market Street.
Sure.
And the Chronicle did a story on Marvin, he was the chess master. And his high school class was having their 40th anniversary. And they saw this story and they said, we need to do something. We didn't know our friend was homeless. In their yearbook, they had pictures of him playing chess 40 years ago. And so they reached out to the city, and the city reached out to us, and we got him signed up. And through his campaign, he is now living in housing. We have other members, the Ramirez family that we just started working with. They were living in a family shelter, and they just qualified for a low-income housing unit. Or they won a lottery for a low-income housing unit, but their credit score was just a few points too low. So we did a campaign for them, and they were able to pay off enough debt to raise their credit score and have now qualified for that housing unit. So you can see, in Marvin's case, we helped him get out of homelessness. In the Ramirez family's case, we helped them stop from falling into a deeper level of homelessness. And then we do have people who are using this to meet basic needs on an ongoing basis. So using this for food and groceries. And maybe eventually this is going to help get them out of homelessness. And of course, we want that, and we want to build this product in a way that it helps people achieve a higher quality of life. But we also don't want this to be something that has more restrictions that, you can only use this if you're in this kind of situation. We want this to be open, and we let our donors choose. Our donors get to decide who they want to help.
Right. So, and some people might want to alleviate suffering, and then some people might want to really feel like they permanently got that person off the dole, as it was, and permanently change their life.
And one of our biggest initial feature requests was people who came to our site who wanted to help, but who didn't already have a personal connection with someone, and they said, hey, I'm having a moral problem here, trying to figure out who do I donate to. Right. So we created a fund called the SF Fund. If you don't know who to give to, you put it in that fund, and then we will distribute that.
Now with 6,000 homeless people, and you have 60 in the system.
That's right, in our pilot.
You have 1% in the pilot.
So keep in mind that there are 6,000 to 7,000 homeless people, but we work with people who are homeless, who are at risk of being homeless, or who are living in low-income housing.
Okay, so that could be another, I don't know how many people. That sounds like even bigger.
So it's 16% of the U.S. population lives below the poverty line. Right. So that's $23,000 a year for a family of four.
Right. So you're going to try to help those folks as well. But I mean, you could conceivably get a significant portion of San Francisco's homeless into this system, and getting you've already got pretty great in the pilot. How much did it cost to do all this so far, aside from your time for the last year?
So we're a bootstrap startup at this point, and to go back to one of your earlier questions, we are a for-profit startup. We are a benefit corporation. This is a new kind of corporate entity. It's in 18 states, and then just passed in Delaware 4 months ago.
What is it? A benefit corporation?
So a benefit corporation is nearly identical to a C corporation, with the addition of a social mission included as part of the legal foundation of the company. And basically that means that we do have an obligation, of fiduciary responsibilities here. This is a for-profit, but that we also have an obligation to our social mission, which is to help people in need.
Interesting. And so, but you're not going to make a profit off of this business. It's not meant to like IPO someday or, throw off profits to shareholders, is it?
So we believe in the power of the for-profit business model to make an impact. And I don't think that we should reserve for-profit business models for just game companies and other kinds of companies. We should apply that powerful model to solving tough problems. And we're starting to do that when we see the rise of social entrepreneurship. There was just a great TED Talk by a Harvard business professor saying, hey, we need to use the for-profit model to solve social problems, to create sustainable scalable solutions that can grow and that you don't have to rely on foundations and grants.
Okay, so sustainable so basically means you could take a percentage of the donations to fund the company?
So what we're doing right now in our pilot is that we let our donors opt in a support fee. And so this is similar to Donors Choose, and WotC has a similar model.
Right.
And we found that about 80% of people are opting in a $5 support fee.
Oh, so that's fantastic.
So it's been, and that's similar to what Donors Choose and WotC report.
Huh.
And
Does
then
it get rid of all the regulations that you need to have, like being, a benefit corporation? Because nonprofits have like massive red tape and stuff.
So being a benefit corporation means that we can accept investment. We can accept angel investment and raise a seed round and take this to the next level.
So are you thinking about doing that? Are you thinking about putting this on AngelList?
Absolutely. I mean, well, I won't commit to AngelList, but we are absolutely going to fundraise, and we see this very much as a technology startup. We're creating technology for a domain that doesn't have very much technology. I mean, talk about, as startup people, we say, oh, we want to disrupt new industries. Well, here's an area that really needs some new innovation.
Yeah.
And people are surprised. They say, hey, but homeless people, they don't have any money. But our customers are donors here. And actually, it's a very large market. There are $26 billion of charitable donations toward human services every year in the U.S.
So when we get back from commercial break, I want to talk about two of the hot button issues, which is mental illness amongst the homeless. It's a significant percentage. And substance abuse, and how you intend or not intend to address those issues when we get back from this very important message.
Yes, New Relic. App performance increases your happiness. Get immediate code level visibility and build faster, more reliable web and mobile applications. This is a great product. We've been using it at launch for the launch ticker. And New Relic is crushing it as a company. As everybody in the industry knows, they have Nike, Warby Parker, Airbnb, Comcast, AT&T, and many others, 50,000, in fact, customers now. And we get emails now that tell us, hey, what was the uptime? Oh, 99.95% uptime for the launch ticker. Now I want to know about those, 0.05% when we were down, and how fast is it going? What's the error rate? How many page views do we get? All that great stuff is contained in these weekly email reports. You can get them daily, and you can go to the web anytime. But they are constantly innovating New Relic with the software as a service, and they do things like Node.js now, which is extremely popular for real-time apps. If you're a developer or you're in the startup space, you know what Node.js is. Anyway, New Relic is supporting that as well. That's what Twitter uses. So there's no other solution like it. It provides a broad level of deep and actionable data. Go to newrelic.com/twist, and you can get the This Week in Startups t-shirt. And there's only one place to get that, and that's newrelic.com/twist. newrelic.com/twist. New, RELIC.com/twist. It's super fast, super easy, and no credit card is required for your trial or for the free t-shirt. Go get one, and let's all say thank you to @NewRelic on our Twitter handles. Let's get back to the program.
Okay, hey, welcome back to the program. It's This Week in Startups. You can follow us at thisweekinstartups.com or on Twitter @TWiStartups. And I am @Jason on Twitter. Yes, that's showing off a little bit. Part of the First Name Club. With me today is Rose Broom. Rose is the delightful and inspiring co-founder and CEO of HandUp, which is a for-profit benefit corporation that is trying to create what some might call, I might actually call, kind of Kickstarter for homeless people, which sounds like I'm making a joke, but it is a service that creates profiles of homeless people here in San Francisco in order to create deep connections between those people and potentially people who can help them and donate. Mm-hmm. It's going really well. You got 60 people already in the pilot, and they're making $200. They're generating $200, your members, in revenue or donations. But one thing we haven't brought up is a significant percentage of homeless people here in San Francisco are suffering from mental illness. What percentage is that? And how might your service help those people? Because those people don't just need a toothbrush or a cell phone charger. They need actual help, correct?
Mm-hmm. So the stats vary. I've seen about 30% of homeless people have severe mental health disorders.
Yeah, that was in the mayor's report that they've been doing for year after year after year here.
That's right.
Which seems like an incredibly comprehensive report they do.
It is. Yep, it is very detailed.
Yeah. So Is that something that you can address, or is that something where, there's other people? Because you said, hey, this is a big problem. You're solving one part of the problem.
That's right.
It seems like that's a super challenging one. Can you eventually address that? Or are you going to address it? Are you addressing it?
So, we want to be sensitive to the different complications within the homeless community, of course. But we're not providing a mental health service here. We're, providing a fundraising platform, essentially. And we work with the nonprofits and government agencies that directly communicate with and are connected to the homeless community. So if there are ways that we can design our product to better serve the community, we will do that. But we're not a mental health solution specifically. But getting people into housing, getting people regular food, and access to even technology so they can talk to their friends and family that they may have. Those are all part of having a stable, healthy life that gives you a foundation to be able to tackle other challenges, including mental health issues.
Is it possible in the future, when Marvin is creating, or whoever it happens to be, their profile, they could say, listen, I'm in need of this type of counseling, or, I need this kind of help. And you could sort of plug in API-ish, hey, there's this other group that does this, and it's going to cost $50 a week, and X amount per year. Click here to support that portion of Joe's, support system.
So yes, we have thought about having features where people can donate toward specific items or services that person may need. Already, by working with the nonprofits, our members come in and they interact with a caseworker who knows about the different services, the different government benefits, the different mental health programs, and can help connect them to those programs. And if there are programs that aren't funded and people need a certain mental health resource that our community wants to support, then as we develop features, we will absolutely give people the option of, being able to use those funds for those services.
Let's talk about the next one, drug abuse, substance abuse, alcohol. Very significant number of the homeless here in San Francisco self-report those issues. What percentage is it, according to the studies, and how do you think that plays into this whole issue?
So mental health and substance abuse is, considered a mental health issue. As I said, it was about 30%. And so, for us, having the restriction on how the funds are used, we know that's something that our donors want, that they want to make sure that their funds are going toward basic needs. We're not out here trying to be anti-drug technology system that helps people specifically recover from addiction. There are programs that people can go into for detox programs that help them get through those. But we know that having this and making sure that the funds are going toward good things will hopefully give these people more of a stable life.
What do you need to sort of take it to the next level? You've been working for a year on this project, is that right?
So we've been working for about 6 months. 3 months ago, we launched our pilot.
Wow. So this is very new.
Yep, 4 months ago, we launched our pilot, yep. It's very new. We've been going really fast. I mean, this is part of what the tech community brings. It's not just the technology, but it's our methods. So we're very insistent on having a lean methodology. We started with the most basic minimum viable product that we could. Zach, my co-founder, built the prototype of HandUp in 4 days. And we've talked to other people who are working on similar things. Believe it or not, this is not a novel idea. There are actually people on my team who had already had this idea and were working on it on their own as well. But we've just been able to execute on it by approaching it in the simplest way that we can. So we had talked to a team who had been working on their project for 2 years, and they hadn't even finished the beta of their product yet.
So you did this all with no funding. Is that right?
That's right. So we bootstrapped.
How are you living? I mean, you have no. How are you paying your rent? I'm getting concerned about you now.
I know I've more than once thought about putting myself on HandUp.
Yeah.
I need some groceries. We can have a section for entrepreneurs that are on the ramen diet.
Exactly.
So we did go through an incubator called TUML, and it's a new incubator program focused on urban innovation specifically. TUML, that's right. It's a Yiddish word meaning I think it means to disrupt.
Oh, wow. And where is this TUML based?
So TUML's based in San Francisco, started by two gals out of MIT Sloan, Claire and Julie. And it's a wonderful program specifically focused on urban problems and urban solutions.
Oh, wow.
And so we went through that program and did get a little bit of support there, but we are, want to fundraise for HandUp and take this to the next level. So how that looks is still open. But
what do you think it's going to cost to run this to the point at which you had 10% of the homeless in the system? Like if you set that goal of 600, what would you need to have 600 people in there and to manage that kind of, because you're managing 60 now, you must have some idea what it takes. Onboarding somebody must take a day or two. I don't know, you tell me. But
so onboarding takes about 5 minutes.
Right, even filling out the profile and everything.
So just filling out the it's...
How do you do that? Do you yourself walk out and meet Marvin and explain to him, I want to make a page for you on the internet where people can give you money, and what do they say to you typically?
So what we did, I told you, I signed up a few through the Street Sheet, and then the bulk of our members we signed up at Project Homeless Connect, our partner. They do an event every quarter where they fill Bill Graham Civic Auditorium with service providers and with homeless people and people at risk who need help. So we set up a booth there, and that's where we signed up the majority of our members. And then we'll do one-offs, people who reach out to us who want to sign up, or if the mayor's office wants us to sign somebody up, we'll sign them up. But the vision here is that we will partner with nonprofits and they will sign up their communities. So we build the technology, and the homeless service and nonprofit and government organizations will be able to have an admin log in and sign up their own people in their community. So
getting 600 people on this and making it sustainable, or do you have some goals? I just picked a goal out of the air, which was 10%.
Getting 600 people on this, in terms of signups, is no problem.
Okay,
we could sign people up very quickly.
But managing it, maintaining it,
So for us, we have a team, a total, there are about 5 of us who are working on this. And so you can do some calculations there in terms of what a team of 5 might need for a year to work on something like this.
Sounds like you need $500,000 a year to have a little office and to pay people a decent wage and have some technology resources. Is that about right?
That's about right.
Yeah. And so, let's get this started. I'd like to be the first investor. Can I invest?
You absolutely.
Okay, what's the valuation?
Absolutely.
I don't care about the valuation. I think that this is super important. I think you're going to make it happen. And so I would like to be your first investor and put $10,000 in. Is that okay?
Thank you.
And then maybe, can I put it on AngelList perhaps, and then try to get some of my rich friends to invest as well?
I would love to do an AngelList campaign.
Okay. All right. Well, so there you have it, folks. Happening live on the air right now. We've got Jake House putting in a high society. That's one less buy-in for the World Series of Poker for me. Wow, my life is pretty great. I'm happy to do it. But we got to get this going. And so, I'm a little bit concerned or confused about the for-profit nature of it. Because I don't want to make any profit off this. Right? So...
Well, you can give us a grant then.
I know, but if it's a for-profit, I'm kind of.
But why are you afraid of that? You're not afraid to.
It would seem really bad.
You have put all this investment in all these other companies, but not into one doing something good. Like, come on.
Here's the issue. We have to make some sort of commitment. Then, if I invest the $10,000, and let's say this company, goes to 50 cities, and it starts generating some kind of a profit. I would feel very bad if I turned that $10,000 into $1 million.
And meanwhile, solving homelessness?
I get that, but it would just feel like I would have made $1 million on the backs of solving homelessness. It's incongruous. I can't get my head around it.
Well, you are welcome to, donate your returns back in, but we really believe that this is a strong model. Why not use this model? Why not incentivize our employees?
What's the revenue model? Do you have a revenue model now?
So So in the beginning, we take the opt-in support fees,
Right.
which actually, $5 adds up very quickly,
Right.
as a scalable service.
Right.
And then we have other options as we scale. So I told you that we're partnering with retailers, and there are all kinds of negotiations that we can do there in terms of getting a percentage of the revenue from purchases.
Right.
And we have, in some sense, we have this money that'll be sitting in accounts that we can use creatively to sustain ourselves.
Yeah, you could make, if you had millions of dollars eventually in an account somewhere, you could be making the interest off that, I guess. The carry off of it.
And there is so much money that is spent on low-income programs. We have $8 billion of state and federal spending on just the administration and technology for the food stamps program. Just the administration and technology. When we first started, I said, hey, why don't we just funnel this money into the food stamps API?
Right.
And then they already have a system, let them distribute it. But I don't, there's
I think
API
the government
there.
is so bitter over, it's so, food stamps as a concept, people are so bitter over this concept that somebody might be gaming the system, which clearly there's people gaming every system. So then they're going to spend some massive percentage of it, like more than 10%, on trying to get people to not game the system. That's probably what the $8 billion is.
Well, like you said, every system has vulnerability to fraud.
Yeah. I mean, yours has that too, right? I mean, somebody could make $200 in donations, go buy a bunch of groceries, and then sell them on the street for $20 and go buy crack. I mean, it's possible.
Every system has vulnerability to fraud.
Yeah. Now, what about this? One of the things I find the most interesting about what you're doing is the building of the story, the profile page, connecting with the person's past maybe and the people who might support them, existing family. And this sounds, again, like I'm being cavalier, but is a Tumblr or a blog for a homeless person, it would seem to me that's a great way for me as somebody who's donating to have an even deeper connection.
Yeah.
If, Marvin was putting updates on his life every week or month, and I could get an update by email saying like, wow, I feel like Marvin's heading in the right direction. Maybe I'll do more, or now I'm starting to get into Marvin's story and, he needs $500 to start his auto detailing business. Yeah, screw it. I just want to give him the whole 500. But, so have you thought about that? The ongoing sort of content creation of...
I mean, absolutely. People come to our site and are fascinated reading these stories, and they're emailing us and calling me saying, hey, what's the update on that person? How are they doing?
Right.
And similarly, our homeless members, they want to give these updates. So we see the opportunity to build that into the product. So kind of like Kiva has donor circles. And this way you can see how funds are being used and you can get updates. It'll probably start with voice updates because calls are the simplest way.
You just call Twilio and leave a voicemail like, hey, things are going well. Thank you so much to...
Exactly. And then it gets posted on the page and then you get a notification. Actually, even right now, you get it. We just implemented our feature that when our member uses their donation, you get a notification. Hey, Marvin just used your donation. And soon it'll say, Marvin just used your donation on groceries.
Right.
So you'll know.
It's like Blippi. Like every time you mention something, like I can think of the startup that's doing that or did that. Blippi was a company where whatever you spent money on, and actually Amazon's doing this now. When you buy something, you can socially share it to sort of let people know that you bought this product, and in some way there's some implicit, I guess, endorsement of that or whatever. So is Kiva for profit? I don't know the answer.
Kiva's a nonprofit.
It's a nonprofit.
Kiva's a nonprofit.
So back to that nonprofit for-profit, where do you think this winds up? Like, is it like Tom's Shoes or something? Or how do you envision it as a for-profit business? That's the one thing I'm still...
Yeah, why is that so hard? Like we're pioneering something here by building technology for homelessness, and we're also pioneering something here by being a socially driven for-profit.
Right.
And this is, do you think that the for-profit business model is powerful?
Oh, of course I do.
Do you think that it's more scalable than a nonprofit business model?
Absolutely, right. The people who are attracted to nonprofits and the way they operate, at least how I've seen them, it seems like they can be wildly inefficient. I mean, I think that's what Gates and a lot of people have sort of proven is that they're better at giving the money away themselves than some of the nonprofits.
So, and there are efforts to bring new innovations and efficiency and transparency to nonprofits as well, like GiveWell
Right.
is a site that kind of gives you an inside look into how the nonprofit is operating.
And how much actually goes to the mission versus the overhead.
Right. So we see a place for nonprofits. I'm not trying to abolish nonprofits, but
it kind of feels like, yeah, I mean, they have their place, I agree, but there's definitely a better model. But I guess the question would be, at some point, if this business made a lot of money.
If this business made a lot of money and solved homelessness in the United States, okay, now bring the concern.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess it would be up to the shareholders to decide, what they would do with their money that they made as a profit, right? So if I invest $10,000, I would make the pledge right now that whatever money I make, I would donate back to charity.
Why do you think it's not okay to build a sustainable, profitable business?
I do think it's okay to build profitable businesses. Obviously, I'm very much involved in that. I'm all about profitable businesses. I am a capitalist. But a profitable business, that I guess I have a.
Let me remind you.
I'm having a mental challenge because it's like I'm thinking that if I made the profits, I'm thinking off the homeless, I would feel very guilty about that. And all of us feel very guilty and should feel very guilty about the homeless problem. It's absolutely unacceptable that with the amount of wealth in San Francisco that this problem, has not been solved to a better extent. That's the whole reason we're even having this program is because I personally feel like it's kind of shameful and we should just put our heads down. And I'm glad to have met you, Rose, because I think that you're actually the person who's putting their head down and actually getting this done.
Thank you.
But I guess I was looking at it as I'm making a profit off of the homeless as opposed to I'm making a profit off of solving for, ending homelessness, right? Or, a system that helps that. Because the nonprofits, I hate to be cynical, but a lot of them claim that they're not for profits, but their directors are getting paid these extraordinary salaries. I was reading, Red Cross director or this person or that person getting millions of dollars which I guess is competitive, compared to what they would be getting paid in the private sector. But I think they get a huge loophole based upon their salaries, right? So they're not throwing off dividends, these nonprofits, but they're paying pretty great salaries to people.
It's interesting because I wonder, why are we critical of people who are doing good in the world and making money? And then that's where the critic side comes out. But then if people are building
making
some game company, then it's pay them a lot of money. It's wait a minute, something about that seems kind of backward to me. But let me remind you of this. So because we're a benefit corporation, we have a legal obligation to fulfill our social mission. So the officers can be held liable for the social mission. So what that does is it gives officers the freedom to choose the social mission. It's often it's not an either or here, but it gives officers the freedom to choose the social mission, and also gives shareholders the ability to hold officers accountable to the social mission if the social mission is not being upheld.
I like it. All right, this is a message to all my followers. I know some of you melon farmers are super rich. I'll take everybody who donates, anybody who invests $10,000. I'll take you all to dinner at the Battery, at the private club here in San Francisco. You go to dinner, we'll have a group dinner, and you get to hang out with me for a dinner and Rose. So anybody who invests, is that a cool deal?
Yeah.
If I get somebody $10,000, you'll have dinner with them?
Awesome.
Okay, there you go. So I'm putting up 10. That means there's 9 more people who put up 10.
Actually, you put up 10.
Investment. I'm going to pay for the dinner too.
We're going to get so many people at the dinner. There's going to be so many people.
We could be staggered. So they could be 2 or 3 people and me and you in dinner, and then 3 or 4 people, or it could be all of them. They have a room down there with like a fancy. It's a lot of private rooms there. So anyway, listen. If you want to have dinner with me and Rose, and you want to try to solve this problem. I didn't even clear any of this with you.
I know.
Okay?
I'm
doing this in
some
real time.
I'm doing some whole.
You may have to go to dinner a couple of times, but anyway, listen. You put up $10,000 investment into this company. You come to have dinner with me and/or Rose, and I'll take the first 9 people who do that, and then that's $100,000. That gets you 20% of the way to the mission. Is that cool?
It's a deal.
It's a deal. Okay, we have a deal. We're going to try to get $100,000 raised for this, and then maybe we'll put it on Angel List if she wants to do that as well. And I'm just gonna say I'm gonna put my profits into some other. That's what I'll do. I'll pay this forward. If I wind up making $1 million off this investment, I'll just pay it forward and put it into the next for benefit company.
Excellent.
Perfect. There you have it. All right. Listen, Rose Broom, co-founder and CEO of HandUp. It's handup.com or HandUp?
HandUp.us.
HandUp.us. And if you don't have the 10 dimes to invest in the company, I understand that, but I want you to get off your ass and put $10 or $100 into one of the amazing stories on the site, and I want you to tweet it, and I want you to CC at Jason, and I'll retweet it so you get some more followers. So everybody who's listening, you got $10 if you're listening to the show because you're listening to it on an $800 frickin' phone. So don't be cheap. Some people are cheap, right? You notice that people are cheap in the world sometimes? They got like $800 phones. They can't give $10.
Well, you got to reduce friction.
I guess that's a big part of it, right? Like that'd be kind of interesting if would the App Store allow you to do like one click? No, you can't donate through the App Store, can you?
So you can text in.
That's interesting. And give a donation.
That makes sense.
All right, well there you have it, folks. That's how you're going to do it. All right, Rose, thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks
Are you
for
on
having
Twitter?
me. I am at Rosicle.
Rosicle. I
Yeah.
like it. So cute. All right. Follow at Rosicle. And HandUp is on Twitter as well?
That's right, at HandUp.
Oh, great. Okay, so everybody follow on Twitter at HandUp, and we'll see you next time on This Week in Startups.